in Austin, not just live music, but also good research.
A tattoo that could change the lives of people with sleeping or brain disorders. We'll walk you through the new tech developed right here in Austin.
New photos are revealing a better picture of the days and hours leading to the killing of United Healthcare CEO.
It's about to get much wetter and much colder. We'll track the temperatures and the rain, plus the first warning weather team's winter outlook coming up.
First tonight, though, over the next 3 years, Austin ISD will have to make about $90 million in cuts. This comes as they haven't seen an increase in funding from the state in several years.
But coming up in January, the district will once again make its plea, along with several other school districts, for much needed funding. Nabil Ramadna shows us some of the district's legislative priorities.
School districts across the state are struggling.
At a time when we need more, we're making do with less.
Austin ISD no stranger. With no state funding over the past several years, they're making tough decisions.
It's going to be a process to figure out where those cuts come from.
The district recently released their legislative priorities for the upcoming session in January. Trustee Lynn Boswell says increasing funding is at the top of the list.
We have 73,000 students to serve. Texas ranks consistently among the bottom states in per student funding, so funding is always near the top of our agenda.
A few of their asks: increase the basic student allotment, increase funding for students receiving special education services, and fund school districts on the basis of enrollment rather than attendance. They also are hoping to revamp the recapture system, which is a process that requires wealthier school districts to share their property tax revenue.
Reforming the system, really considering the impact of recapture on housing affordability, considering the impact of recapture on communities with high numbers of families who have economic disadvantage, economic need.
We would like to see the state kicking in their fair share. The burden is increasingly falling on local communities, with Austin facing the biggest burden.
Austin ISD trustee Catherine Whitley Chu says another priority is staying away from school vouchers.
Keeping public funds in public schools.
Nabil Ramadna, KXAN News.
On the state legislative side, state lawmakers are required to pass a budget, but Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick says private school voucher legislation is his first priority, and right below that, his next priority is for the state to ban all forms of THC. Right now, Texans can legally buy some forms of THC, but Patrick is calling the rise in Delta 8 and Delta 9 dangerous. Those variations are legal in low quantities, but you can still get high, and Patrick says the lack of regulation is putting children at risk. Veterans groups say THC helps them treat physical and mental ailments, and they hope a ban would allow medicinal use.
If you want to regulate, if you want to have child protective caps, if you want to have age gating, that's fine. We will support that. What we will not support is an outright ban, because this product has allowed a lot of our veterans, hundreds of veterans, to get off of opioids and to take a gummy.
And Patrick clarified today that the ban would not impact the compassionate use program, which allows Texans with some chronic conditions to use low THC cannabis. The ban will work its way through the legislature as Senate Bill 3, one of the top priorities that Patrick says he expects not only the Senate but the House to adopt.
A cooling night ahead of us tonight. We're in the 50s now in Austin, but already mid-40s in San Saba, and a chillier breeze is blowing our way from the north and northeast that'll help to drive the air temperatures down into the 40s and even 30s to begin your morning. A lot of clouds over us now, but no rain. We do expect that your night here tonight will be dry with an overnight low in Austin of 40. Coming up in first warning weather, we'll turn cold and then we'll turn colder. We'll show you the dropping temperatures to end the weekend into the weekend as rain returns and some periods of heavier rain as well. We'll update you on the mounts and the potential for a freeze next week. And in just a few minutes, join us for the first warning weather team's winter weather outlook, where we explore what's new and what to expect this season.
All right, Nick, thank you very much. Police say a Northeast Austin homeowner walked in on burglars in his home. They took off, but police say one of the suspects fired multiple shots at the homeowner. APD needs your help identifying the man. Take a look at these pictures. This happened on Friday, November 8th along Exchange Drive. That's near 290 and 183. Police believe the man wearing a gray sweater with a dark bandana may have been armed with the weapon. If you recognize these men, please call Austin Police.
New York police released new photos today of the gunman they believe shot and killed Brian Thompson, the CEO of United Healthcare. Take a look at these photos. Investigators believe the shooter slept in a bunk bed at a hostel before the attack Wednesday morning. NBC is reporting that the man may have traveled to New York from Atlanta by bus last month. There is a $10,000 reward for information leading to the killer's capture.
The electronic tattoo developed at the University of Texas could one day help people who face difficulties walking.
And this one-of-a-kind treatment can also help the millions of people with sleep disorders and brain issues. KXAN's Sarah Alshay shows us the groundbreaking work.
Electronic tattoos measuring brain waves.
An electronic tattoo, or e-tattoo, is a device that can be placed conformally onto the skin to allow someone to collect physiological data, for example, to give them real-time continuous data of their body.
Breakthrough technology coming out of the University of Texas. PhD student Pablo Vidal co-authored this research. These e-tattoos serve as sensors for an EEG test, which measures the brain's electrical activity. Vidal says they use a camera to map a person's head shape and figure out where to put the ink, like they did with this mannequin.
So once we printed the electrodes and waited for those to dry, and then print the interconnects so we can get the information from those electrodes, and we wait for those to dry, which takes approximately about 15 minutes. We can then start to collect EEG information from the person's head.
This different than technology out there.
So current EEG acquisition devices essentially require an obtrusive cap and liquid gels with bulky wires that requires an expert to manually place, which can be time-consuming and costly.
At the moment, Vidal says they're conducting sleep studies, determining someone's quality of sleep and helping study neurodegenerative diseases. Along with that,
this could also be employed depending on what part of the brain you are collecting data from to actually enable people to control a wheelchair or a prosthetic. Someone can imagine a movement, and the computer will actually determine what movement that person's imagining to be able to control an external device, for example.
While there's just one of its kind at the moment, Vidal hopes to one day see these in homes or clinics.
And be able to print an e-tattoo on them instantaneously, and then for them to have this empowering device on them that they can collect real-time data from.
Sarah Alshay, KXAN News.
And moving forward, the researchers have two main goals: improve the ability to apply the ink to patients with longer hair and increase the ink's resistance to friction. You heard Sarah mention this new technology could help people with sleep disorders. 50 million people in the U.S. have a sleep disorder, and there are 80 different types according to the Cleveland Clinic. The most common is insomnia, followed by sleep apnea and restless leg syndrome. This week marks the official start of winter for meteorologists. While Central Texas doesn't typically see an extreme season, recent years have shown that's not always the case.
Chief Meteorologist Nick Bannon and morning meteorologist Kristen Curry have an in-depth look at the season ahead and why this winter is different.
Between a warming climate, the return of La Nina, and a worsening drought, this winter could have a lot in store for Central Texas.
First, let's start with what's new this winter. Winter weather alerts will be familiar to anyone who's lived in Texas the last few years, but this year there will be some changes.
The National Weather Service, the agency in charge of issuing the alerts, have made some simplifications when it comes to the terminology. So before, we would hear things like hard freeze watch and a freeze watch. Well, now that gets simplified to just a freeze watch. A hard freeze warning and a freeze warning when freezing temperatures are imminent now just becomes simply a freeze warning. What about those extended periods of cold? Well, let me show you. The extreme cold watch and the wind chill watch simply becomes extreme cold watch. Extreme cold warning, wind chill warning, a couple of those we saw back in 2021, simply becomes extreme cold warning. We're getting rid of that wind chill. The reason behind the cold and just telling you and warning you it's going to get cold. The wind chill advisory simply just becomes the cold weather advisory. Now that's the new terminology, but Nick, this year we're going to hear a lot about a familiar foe.
La Nina is coming back again. This will be our fourth of the last 5 winters in La Nina. Nina. But what is it? Well, La Nina is characterized by cooler than normal waters in the eastern equatorial Pacific Ocean. These water temperature changes force the jet stream, which serves as the storm track, farther north, generally keeping Central Texas warmer and drier than normal for winter as a whole.
Oh, I feel like every winter it's been getting warmer. That's kind of what I've noticed.
We have the AC going, so hopefully we'll have a nice warm winter.
I do not like cold weather, so I'm wishing that it'll be warm.
Now, despite the forecast supporting a turn to La Nina this winter, and as a result, a big picture trend towards warmer and drier conditions, we never let our guard down. In fact, some of our recent La Nina winters have brought some of the most severe winter weather outbreaks in our area's history. Middle February 2021, what would become one of the worst winter weather events on state record. Not only did downtown Austin record its second biggest snowfall with a total just shy of 6.5 inches, the city also endured the longest stretch of time at or below freezing, 144 hours or 6 consecutive days. Sub-freezing temperatures, ice and snow led to over 500,000 without power in Central Texas. Some of those outages forced by ERCOT, saying blackouts were needed to keep the state grid intact. We'd later find out Texas was just 4 minutes away from a total grid collapse. Over the course of 10 days, schools and universities closed. The Austin-Bergstrom Airport shut down, and multiple Central Texas cities issued boil water notices, including Austin, when water treatment plants went offline. By the end of the storm, 246 Texans lost their lives, 28 of those in Travis County. 2 winters later, one of the worst ice storms in Austin's history. Early February 2023, a powerful Arctic outbreak and a winter storm brought up to 1/4 inch of ice to Austin, damaging an estimated 10.5 million trees, 30% of the city's tree canopy. Ice accretion totaled over 3/4 inch in parts of the Hill Country, once again rewriting the record books.
But every La Nina is different, and this year is no exception. With the expectation of a weaker and shorter duration La Nina, the outlook for winter brings more unique challenges. I looked into how scientists are dealing with climate change, complicating the forecast.
There's a little bit more uncertainty this year than what we normally have with a La Nina.
Forecasts are rarely a slam dunk, but this winter, climate scientists like Tom DiLiberto say it may be even more difficult to figure out.
A weak La Nina doesn't mean that we won't necessarily see La Nina-like impacts across the United States. It just means we may not be as confident in that coming to fruition.
La Nina's strength is based on just how much colder than normal the water temperature is in the eastern Pacific Ocean. The colder the water there, the stronger the La Nina. But according to NASA, as oceans warm globally due to climate change, it's harder to get the waters to cool to the levels that define a La Nina, especially a strong one.
There is the potential that even though the La Nina by our normal metrics looks like it's going to be a weak or even a borderline case, that the atmosphere may reflect a more typical La Nina pattern just based upon the difference in temperatures between the western and the eastern Pacific Ocean.
Adding to the uncertainty, La Nina hasn't officially begun. When it does, it will be among the latest starts on record.
Going back to 1950, there might be 2 cases where that's happened. So we do not have a huge backlog of cases to be able to look back and see what the sort of impacts have been.
So what do we expect now through the end of winter? Well, 99% of climate scientists agree that climate change is resulting in warmer winters, while a worsening drought allows temperatures to climb more during the day and the expectation for at least a weak La Nina. We predict this winter will be warmer than normal.
And going in depth on the numbers, we expect average temperatures this winter will be 2 to 3 degrees above the 30-year normal. Still, La Nina winters have the potential to bring Arctic temperatures with colder Canadian air spilling farther south. We expect 1 to 2 of those particularly cold blasts this season, with the potential for at least 1 wintry weather event.
The precipitation forecast is more of a challenge. One wet week can reverse a season of drought, but the expected storm track does not look to favor frequent rain. We expect most of the area sees 1 to 2 inches less rain than a typical winter.
Taking into account these predictions, there is no excuse not to be ready for anything. A winter weather kit with batteries, water, and food could be the difference between life and death.
Stay with KXAN all season long as our team of meteorologists track every winter storm in what's usually a short but memorable season here in Central Texas. And we are about to get a whole lot colder over the next couple of days as well. In fact, our coldest high temperatures of the season are on the way. The coldest highs since last winter here by Saturday. We actually had a second cold front come through today, the second of two today alone. That's now passed to the south of us, and the chillier air to the north is spilling in. We're in the mid-50s now. We'll be falling into the low 40s to start your Friday morning, even some areas of 30s in the hill country. And then temperatures may barely make it into the low to mid-50s here tomorrow, with some middle and upper 50s in our eastern counties. But don't expect to get out of the 40s in the hill country here tomorrow on what will be a chilly day that eventually turns increasingly wet. We'll talk about that in a second. But getting to that coldest daytime high on Saturday, we start in the low to mid 40s. We only end up in the mid to upper 40s for highs. A bone-chilling day, especially for this time of year. Usually it gets colder like this as we get into January and February. All right, let's talk about the rain. There's no rain out there now. There's no rain coming anytime soon until we talk about later in the day tomorrow. So overnight into your Friday morning, here's 6:30, clouds thickening up. Spotty showers possible in the morning or some drizzle. Same thing by midday, but into the afternoon, that's when we start to see the scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms arriving. Many of you will not see much rain until tomorrow evening and night. We think about half of the area gets measurable rain tomorrow. But then we get into Saturday. That's when we think the main event will arrive. Not only the coldest daytime highs, but the most rain coverage through the area. Widespread showers and storms Saturday morning through late morning and midday. And while there may not be as many in the afternoon, we still expect at least scattered showers and isolated storms Saturday afternoon and evening. And then our final round comes in Sunday morning. Another wet start to your day here Sunday, but then that clears out to allow the sun to come out Sunday afternoon, and that should make for a much warmer day. So half the area gets wet tomorrow, a high of 53, and cloudy just about all day long. Very minimal rain chances, just super isolated showers in the morning, but some drizzle in the mix as well. And then those rain chances keep going up during the day, peaking during the evening here tomorrow. And then we head into the weekend. There's that cold rain and some thunderstorms at times on Saturday. Right now we're not thinking severe weather, but some storms may provide some heavier rain. High of 49 Saturday, leftover showers Sunday morning, but a high of 66 in the afternoon. Still thinking most of the area gets a 1/4 inch to an inch of rain by the end of the day Sunday. We've moved around a little bit, the area expecting 1 to 2 inches of rain. Still northeast of Austin, expecting some of the heavier stuff here as we head through the weekend. And then we start talking about temperature changes for next week. We get all the way up to 78 Monday, but a cold front late in the day knocks us down into the low 60s next Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. But with that colder air will mean colder mornings. Mid-30s Wednesday and Thursday in Austin, which means colder temperatures in the hill country. This is what we're looking at Wednesday morning in the hill country. Widespread freezes of 32 or below. So you can plan ahead now to protect your plants here next Wednesday and possibly Thursday mornings as well. Here's a look at our first warning weather 7-day forecast. By the end of the day Sunday, you'll be thankful maybe for a little bit of sunshine coming out. Monday looks sunny and warm, and then sunshine, scattered clouds, but cooler Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
This is KXAN Sports, brought to you by Thomas J. Henry.
Good evening. Longhorns head to Atlanta tomorrow in search of an SEC title, a first-round bye in the college playoffs. Lose, and they'll have to wait on Sunday. Likely they would get a home game. Also, if they can win, it means they would have beaten every team on their schedule, since, of course, their only loss was to Georgia. Now, this college football playoff has got everyone's mind kind of racing around to all the, well, possibilities. And what about a conference championship now compared to when there was just a 4-team playoff?
There's layers to the season of college football. I understand that, and whether this can contribute to some of the seeding, but I surely hope, especially in the Southeastern Conference's case, nobody ever gets punished for playing this game, because it's a little bit of the war of attrition in our conference. The reward to play in a championship game like this is one that we cherish. But on the same token, I surely hope this year and in the years to come that nobody ever gets punished because they don't come out on top in this game, because it is a real grind. If anything, we get recognized for making it to this game, not getting punished if somebody, for the team that doesn't come out on top.
Honored to be playing Coach Sark and his team at Texas. What a tremendous job he's done there. Getting them into this game is a gauntlet, and it's a reward to play in it, and both teams have earned that.
Yeah, we'll be there in Atlanta starting tomorrow, so we'll have reports. And then, of course, it is Texas Game Day on Saturday, 2 o'clock, an hour before kickoff over on KBVO. College basketball, Texas women undefeated, number 4 at Notre Dame, number 10 coming off a couple of losses, so they were in a bad mood. This was a wild one. Rory Harmon, inside of 8 seconds to go, ties it. And then here comes Notre Dame, Olivia Miles with the tough layup. And Notre Dame has a 2-point lead, but Harmon, crafty veteran, gets fouled with a second to go and calmly knocks down both free throws, so they go to overtime. Texas then, in overtime, they grabbed the lead. Kyla Oldacre, she had to play a lot tonight. Taylor Jones was injured. Texas up 2, and then it fell apart. Notre Dame goes on a 12-0 run. Hannah Hidalgo, one of the best in the country, had 30. And then Sonia Citrone, back-to-back threes. Longhorns fall for the first time. They're coming home tonight, back on the road to play James Madison on Sunday. At Gregory Gym tonight, 2-time NCAA volleyball champions. They were in action against A&M Corpus Christi in first-round action. Mariana Singletary right there with the block. Longhorns take the first set easily. Islanders tough in the second set. It's 24-23, and then here comes the hammer from Madison Skinner. Longhorns up 2-0, and from there they would cruise to a 3-0 win. So Texas advances to the second round tomorrow night back at home against USC. Don't forget tomorrow night on KBVO, Westlake and Lake Travis at 7 o'clock. And always go to KXAN.com for more sports.
Okay, so we do have some rain chances tomorrow.
Yeah. Super isolated in the morning, a little bit of drizzle, and then rain chances and coverage slowly going up through the day. Highs of 53. Your highest rain chances will actually be in the evening. Higher rain chances come Saturday into Sunday morning, and then we're back to dry and back to talking about some freezes at night.
All right, let's get to it for us. Tonight's show's up next.